morning. We have Facebook Live going on here. We'll be going live on the radio here in just about 2 minutes. But Craig's joining me here talking about Multiply, the Multiply conference here, coming up on the 8th and 9th of November. And grateful for him to be here. We're also celebrating HB's birthday, big 6-0. The man has joined the 6th decade with the rest of us. So we're really happy for that. And we'll be talking about these things here in a couple of minutes. So hang in there tight with us. We'll be starting in just a minute. Just a minute. Morning, Dale Green. Good to see you. Grateful for everybody who stops by. Okay. Got about 35, 40 seconds here before we come in. So I have to ask, is your wife watching today?
She's not.
Do it.
She's running our 3-year-old around on...
And we are back, Warp and Woof Radio, RadioNext.tv at the Cool Groove site. We come to you every Wednesday from 10 until noon. Thank you for joining us here this week. We are pleased this week not only to talk about HB's birthday, which we will be doing here in just a few minutes, but to begin, we want to talk to Craig, who is leading up the Multiply conference here, and want to give him some time here at the beginning to promote this good work that's going on coming up November 8th and 9th. So Craig, thanks for for coming in today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Well, we're glad not only that you're here, but that you can tell us a little bit about the conference. So do that a little bit. Tell us the background of the conference, why it's happening, purpose, mission, all the rest.
Sure, yeah, we'll do. So the conference at its core is for social and faith-driven pioneers, those who desire to see people loved, lives changed, and their communities impacted. To go deeper on that, for those of you that God created as entrepreneurs or visionaries or the big dreamer types, the innovators, we see you guys as the driving force of impact in big ways where the love of Christ can be shared with others and ultimately his kingdom multiplied. So we're calling those people out, and we want to see social enterprises revved up and impact businesses created, and church plans and nonprofits, among other endeavors, even such as this radio show. I mean, these are the things that are going to impact lives, and we need those risk takers and people willing to put in the energy and effort to start up those initiatives.
We're really grateful for the impact that this conference is already having on the community. Folks are talking about it around Indianapolis. Let's talk a little bit about this interconnectivity that I hear you talking about, this entrepreneurialism along with pastoral interest, as well as service interest, as well as doing good in the community. I mean, how are you segueing and putting all of those things together?
Yeah, that's a great question. At the core, it's making disciples. At our foundation, it's about loving on others, being able to create those relationships. And the channels we do that are all different. We're not all called to be church planners. I'm not called to be a church planner. I'm called to create things. My history's in business. I started a business back in high school. I eventually grew that company for around 10 years and was able to be acquired by a very large financial organization early in my life, which was a blessing and the most interesting thing that has ever happened in my life, because after I sold that company, I essentially sold my identity with it. I didn't realize that was the case, but I realized that I spent many years of my life driving after selfish ambition when I could have been making bigger difference in people's lives. So God's been working on me, and he took me through that season and allowed me to see that it doesn't matter what we do. Sometimes we get in our head that we have to be a pastor to make big life change,
Right.
But we don't. And we're not all called to be pastors or church planners. We're called to engage our passions and live out the purpose he's set within us. And for me, that's being an entrepreneur.
That's really fantastic. One of the things that I talk about all the time in my teaching is vocation is ministry. So whatever it is that you do, whoever it is that you are, that is what you're given to do. And to do it as a Christian, that means that you are infusing how you live life and what you do in your business, whatever. from a Christian vantage point. So let's talk about the kinds of folks that are coming into this conference and who can, if people are interested in coming to the conference, let's talk about your website first of all, and then who's going to be coming to this conference.
Sure. So you can learn more at multiply2018.com. You can see the lineup there. You can see the agenda, the breakouts that we're offering. The people in the room, they're going to be ranging from people with just ideas to people who have been operating nonprofits or social enterprises for the decades. So it's going to be a big range of people, which is great because the networking opportunities and just the storytelling between the different seasons that people are in can really impact both sides.
That's really fantastic. I mean, from my perspective as a nonprofit leader, my interest is always to make connections with people. And somehow we seem to have sidelined that to this is just something we do in business. That's not the case. So talk about the issue of this crossover, this transdisciplinary, if you will, crossover between what you view these things as from a Christian point of view, and how does this entrepreneurial spirit then infuse not only the conference, but really what you hope to have people leave with from the conference?
Yeah, we hope that people leave from the conference with just an inspiration or just a different mindset where a lot of our day-to-day is just spent on checking off the boxes and checking email, making sure work's getting done, but we lose tact to what's at our core. And I think it's just to really encourage people to, and challenge them to really keep their core belief at the front of their motivation every single day. And to, in their endeavors, make sure that God and relationships and sharing your faith is a part of your everyday life. So, it doesn't matter where your stage is. If you call yourself an entrepreneur, visionary, creator, or innovator, the conference was built for you, and I invite you out to hear from other pioneers in social enterprise and business and ministry, and hopefully you'll walk away with ideas or next steps that you can take action to the ideas that you have.
That's really an important idea, that there's an innovation emphasis here, and maybe we should make sure that everybody remembers. We've actually had a radio show just a few weeks back on creativity, and so from those of you who have been listening on a regular basis, you know that we talk about Exodus 28 through 35 all the time, the emphasis on creativity, how the very first people indwelled by the Spirit of God were artists. So the emphasis on this entrepreneurial aspect of building something from the very beginning, this is something that's really important to us. So let's talk a little bit about you, and let's talk about how you have come to this place. What is it that's driven you to this point in your life that makes you say to yourself, I want to create a conference that's going to help other people, maybe to overcome some of the things that I should have known about ahead of time. However that happens for you, take that away.
Yeah, so that goes back to just operating and growing a company for a long period of time, eventually having that season of change where I was so-called successful by the world's terms. I was able to, once again, be acquired. After that all happening, I checked my big personal goals of starting a company, selling a company, being successful by the world's definition, and at that same point in time being the most lost I've ever been my entire life. And I tell you, that's a feeling I never thought I would be in, and it's been a work in progress. God has been working in my life and showing me and teaching me new things, and really it's how my identity needs to be in Him and not my endeavors and my personal ambitions. And that's where I've been spending a lot of time in thought and prayer and reflection is around that. That then led me to start to meet other people that I believe God put into my path, and that eventually led to starting a conference for these people types, these pioneers or creators or big dreamers that God created you that way. And it's easy for us to get down the track of chasing our own dreams, where I want to help advise that, if we can catch that before we run too far, I think we can be a lot more impactful, and our time will be used as God wants it to be, versus us just chasing our ambition.
Yeah. This it strikes me to ask this question in terms of some of the folks that you anticipate being there, perhaps, but more to the point of the churches. Does it matter what denominations, what churches attend this particular conference?
It doesn't. We ultimately we want to love others. We want to build relationships, and we want to share Christ's love for us. I want to use every minute of my life to be able to just share the grace that I've been given, and I think that's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely. So, in terms of church leadership, are you looking forward to the opportunity to meeting church leaders, to connecting church leaders, pastoral folks, to business people, and why do you think that might be important for pastors to have more of an interaction with business folks?
Yeah, I think it's a crucial partnership between the business and social enterprise and nonprofit world, as well as the churches. I mean, as that combination comes together, that's like the rocket booster system that's going to get us to big impact within our communities, and the churches need to help drive that, and they need to be partnering with the businesses, and vice versa. When we have a successful, profitable business that is founded on Christian principles and has impact in their mind every single day, that can help a church survive and sustain and be very healthy. So it also creates jobs, and our businesses and enterprises within our community can affect a lot of people. It has scale, and I think it's a very crucial partnership.
One of the things that is really a sad thing in the church is that we have this dichotomization that goes on where we silo things, and this is what I do on Sunday, and here's what I do the rest of the week.
Yes.
The whole Gnostic problem where there's a separation between so-called secular and sacred issues. But if indeed God is the creator of all things, he sustains all things, then everything is his. So it would sure seem like businesses and churches and entrepreneurs ought to be working together a lot better and a lot more.
Yeah, and for us, it's very important. We want to challenge the business owners and leaders to incorporate impact statements and visions within their company, and have measurable impact metrics that they can track impact, and find a core mission that they're passionate about or God's calling them to. It could be maybe hiring people out of the prison system and helping with re-entry. It could be doing large service projects with all your employees and going down and rebuilding a home within the community. If your passion isn't in the local community, it may be in Africa or Mexico, and or other parts of the state of Indiana. I mean, we have so many stories of so many people doing so many different things, and you'll hear those stories at the conference. And I feel that just by hearing that, it will open up so many ideas within your head that you can really put on paper how you can live every day intentionally in ways that will multiply the kingdom of heaven.
And there's that word intentional. The issue is always one of we have to make a decision, an act of the will to actually do these kinds of things. So as we end here in this first segment of our show and thinking about talking with you about this conference, are there things that we miss that we want to make sure to hit? Are there issues that you want to leave with people? What would be your last words here in the last couple minutes?
Sure. I invite you to check out multiply2018.com. Lineup. We have a great lineup. We have the CEO from the Dallas Mavericks, Sid Marshall. She'll be sharing her story.
Nice.
We have entrepreneur and author of Called to Create, Jordan Rayner, coming up. He's out of Orlando. We have multi-ethnic and multi-generational church pioneer Albert Tate. He's coming to speak. We have local tech-based FormStack CEO Chris Byers speaking, as well as a ton of other pioneers in ministry, business, and the nonprofit world. I invite you to check out the website. If you're a student, you can register for $35. If you're not a student, today through the weekend you can use Comenius and you'll receive 50% off your registration. So I encourage you to do that.
That's
and
great.
take advantage of that. That's only through this upcoming weekend. So go ahead and do that, and I hope to see you guys at the conference.
That's wonderful. You will see me there on Thursday. I teach Thursday morning. Looking forward to being with you, though, the end of the morning and then all the way through the afternoon on November 8th. This is a fantastic opportunity to bring a whole bunch of folks together that probably don't see each other all that often. And, kudos to you and to all the organizers for the wonderful work that you're doing here in the community to make this conference happen.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for being here and for the time you spent here with us. You're listening to Warp and Woof Radio, RadioNext.tv at the Cool Groove site. We're going to take a one-song break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking about celebration and partay, because it is my twin brother's birthday, 60 big years old today, HB Bell. We'll talk about that in the next hour. You're listening to Warp and Woof Radio. We'll be right back.
That sounds so funny when you say 60, man. I still feel like a little boy. Just feel like a little boy.
This is Dr. Clyde Mosley.
Hello, Clyde.
Hey,
Nice
Craig, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Craig. My pleasure.
Yeah, thank you again for your time.
Yeah, thank
And,
you. So we'll be in touch.
Yeah, I'll look forward to the walkthrough at some point.
Okay. Yeah, I'll send
And
a calendar invite.
we'll look forward to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, happy birthday.
Oh, man, thank you so much, man. Good luck
Thank
on
you
the
guys.
conference, too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Blessings on the day.
All right. Thank you guys.
Today is your actual birthday?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Oh,
we should
yeah.
have cake and all that stuff.
Cake out there, man. We
Okay,
can cut
let's
it.
cake.
Mark brought
Go.
some.
Hey.
Yeah. Matter of fact, we can cut it up. Yeah, man. Treat me too good.
We should have this on camera, man.
Oh, I got it. It's already out there, man.
Check out the card I got for him. Got a little Black Panther.
Yeah. I am him, too.
That's a keepsake, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, my brother, so Dwayne turned 60 in
Yeah, I know it.
July the 25th.
I know.
And they had, he always does a homecoming party.
Yeah.
At Indiana State.
Yeah.
Well, this year was 60.
Everybody, all that whole
Yeah,
crew,
the whole
our
crew,
whole
Wayne,
second class of
Wayne,
77.
Steve,
We got
yeah,
so many
yeah.
graduates, 60, man.
Yeah, I didn't make that connection, but that is absolutely true. Yeah.
Oh, I've been needing something.
I wrote a book page for you, but I left that book at home.
All right, that's all right.
So when you see me give him one and you don't get one,
Hey man, I still love you.
I like him more than I like you. No, I wrote something in your page.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, and I was kicking myself the other day for not
That's how we
there we
did
go.
Yeah.
Now
Now I bust
For
the
not,
triplets.
not getting a picture of us on that day when you came over to teach. I'm always forgetting stuff like that. I don't think
I
about it.
enjoyed it, man. The students were attentive, man.
Yeah, good.
It means you're doing some good teaching.
Good.
They expect the people that you bring in. They expect to hear something. I love the classroom.
Good. I knew you would. I
Do just something. What I was doing with your class is more natural to me than preaching.
Yeah.
I would rather be in the classroom than behind the pulpit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is what I know. I know I'm called to be a pastor.
Yeah.
If I didn't want to do it, everything about me is designed to do it, but I wouldn't prefer to do it. And I only plan to pastor
Just like the
55.
Bible. Look at the first line in there. It's like a Bible, man.
All right.
That's exactly what I'm talking about, man. Preachers should be teachers.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
My greatest.
Thanks for hanging in there with me.
It's just natural to me.
Yeah.
We're going to hang in here for another 30, 35 minutes with me, and then Clyde and HB are going to take over, do whatever you're going to do, and I got a plane to catch. Going out to PA to do some teaching, some PhD teaching, biblical
PhD.
theological foundations for ministry.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I taught that in the morning. I did.
Did you?
Yep.
It's a lot of fun.
2012 to 2014.
Well, so we had a show with Martin then. They used to do a show with me between that time period. They did a show for about 1 year.
Graduate program.
Yeah.
Biblical Foundations for Ministry. It's part of the Urban Ministries Master's degree.
Yeah. We used to talk about all that. All the different programs, community mental health development program that they had. Yeah.
What the foundations were.
Yeah, that's right.
That was over.
The first
1 and 2 to the class.
The first morning that I'm there, from about 8 until noon, I just ask students what their dissertations are.
What level are you teaching?
PhD.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, so we start off. It's the second class that they take. So I just
The
start
third
off.
class?
the second
Is
class.
this a theory class? This class is
Well, theory in the sense that this is a foundation philosophically
okay.
for the course for PhD, at least at the seminary. But I just ask everybody what they're doing their dissertations on, and then I just kind of riff on biblical theological themes and bring things together. And their last assignment is 12 pages of their biblical theological for the dissertation. So
Your commercials on.
all right,
What are we doing? What are we about to do now?
we just talk about why it's important to celebrate.
Okay.
You know, why is it important to have a good time from time to time? Little Leviticus 23, all of the feasts, you know, and all that good
A
stuff.
little desire to accomplish is sweet to the soul.
See, now those of you who know me at all know that Leviticus is my second favorite book in the Bible. So there that is.
You're in.
And we are back, Warp and Woof Radio, RadioNext.tv at the Cool Groove site. You find us here every Wednesday from 10 until noon. My producer, H.B. Bell, his birthday today, the big 6-0, and my co-host, Dr. Clyde Posley. And we are glad
Buenos
to be
dias.
here. A little Spanish here early in the morning.
Bonjour.
HB in the background. Yeah, so we want to talk a little about celebration, about HB's birthday. We got to turn this around at least, HB, so they see you. Hey, they see the big smile.
The green lights are popping.
The
up
big,
back here.
yeah, that's right. See, Virginia Eckel is watching. Hey, Mom.
I love her, man.
Yeah, see,
I
you
send
know,
her my inbox.
there
Hi,
you-
Mom. Love you.
There you go. There he is, the man of the day, the man of the hour. So we're talking here today about the issue of celebration and why it's important to do this. And you know, it was just kind of fun that HB's birthday fell on the 17th of October, and it happens to be Wednesday, and here we go. But honestly, you know, this is something that we need to talk more about. The concerns that we have throughout Scripture are very clear about how people were excited about holiday and why that was important. So I'm just going to start off with Leviticus. Dr. Clyde, jump in with whatever, but Leviticus 23 kind of takes us back to God's statements to his people. Hey, you got all of these different things I want you to remember. And that I think is the key thing I want to leave with everybody. That celebration is a memory maker, and it's based on things in history. So, we're celebrating HB's birthday. It's very important to us because this is history. HB has history, and he has a history behind him, and so on. All of us do. So the issue of celebration is huge. And in Leviticus 23, we have all of these different feasts, and God prescribed various activities for these feasts. And one of them was eating. So we actually brought cake today, so that's important for us. And a few other things we'll leave off to the side for the moment. But nonetheless, all of this stuff is important to us. So let's just talk generally about celebration, why it's important. Clyde, from your perspective, as a pastor, as a lecturer, as a professor, what are some of your thoughts about the issue of celebration from a Christian point of view?
Well, there is a popular word in some kingdom circles today. So as some call it Christian circles today, koinonia, Greek word koinonia, which in essence is fellowship.
Yes.
And so celebration is important among brothers, among the culture. One, because it enhances fellowship. It reminds us, it lifts the reasons to rejoice over the reasons to have a dismal outlook. That's one thing.
Yeah.
But another reason is holidays, holy days,
there it is,
are supposed to remind us of our ontology, our godly ontology, the origin of of holiness and our connection and relationship to that. In Romans chapter 14, where this is discussed, and 13 as well, Paul talks about that we should never frown on what day one considers holy versus another day another person considers holy, because it's holy unto them. And so you can never frown on it. A person celebrating their birthday may not mean anything to other people, but it is that person's right and choice to choose to use that day as a day of reflection and a day of insight and introspective thought, as well as external acknowledgement or reaffirmation that I'm blessed, that God has been good to me, that He has brought me, that He has kept me, and quite frankly, I celebrate my birthday remembering that some of the things that some kids, young people I grew up with, some of the things that have caused their demise happened to me.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, God was merciful to me, and I'm still here. I'm not here. I celebrate my birthday, saying it's not that I'm better. It helps me. It reminds me of just how good God has been, because there's nothing so good about me that my years on earth have been longer than others. Martin Luther King died at 39.
Absolutely.
Kennedy and others died at early ages. So we shouldn't take for granted. And a birthday is a good spot to just reflect on the holy God and His patience and His kindness. For me.
Yeah.
I always get a big smile on my face whenever you use the word ontology. I think, you use this at least every time we're on the air. And if I had a dollar bill for every time you use that word, I could go out and buy a nice steak dinner. I just want you to know that.
I like the word.
It's a fantastic word, man. I love the word. So you just keep using that word.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's the center of our existence.
Yeah.
And how we fit into the world and how we intersect with others. There's a whole genre.
Yeah.
As you know, I'm not informing you, of ontological study, and most people, it's just a good one to get into. Let's just say that.
Yeah. So we're going to turn this around for HB to give him an opportunity to just chat for a minute about the importance of his birthday history, celebration, wherever he wants to take this thing, just for a minute.
Well, I'm going to be like Reverend Clyde and say that, when I started doing some introspective thinking today about being 60, because I'm kind of a weird guy. I celebrate every day anyway, more so than most people. I just find this great joy waking up and me and guys doing this thing all over. I'm wired with a different kind of energy, and He made me this way so I could go give this juice every day to some people who may need it. But looking back today, and I thought about 60 years, and I thought about just what Clyde was saying. How many brothers that I know that did not make 60, and I was doing the exact same things in some places where in harm's way, where it had to be nothing but God's hand on me to be here, to do better and to do more. And so, in that phase, it's like, wow, it's an accomplishment. 60 is huge. But then, and just waking up every day, I still just want to say, if people could wake up every day and just feel that magic of living and celebrate just waking up and getting another chance to go do this and another chance to make up for yesterday's errors that you might have made, and say, okay, God, let me not do that again, and just marvel at the gift of living. I think we would just be better. And I don't use a lot of the holidays to get amped up. I get amped up because of every day I get to go do it.
Well.
And I tend on holidays, especially with my mom not here, and I don't really have a big family type net. I tend to kind of get recluse on holidays because I'm burning it so hard all the time. It's almost like a day I get to say, let me shut this down for a day or two and let everybody get their holiday, glee on, and because I got work to do once Christmas is over and when Thanksgiving, I got to go back, every day and go to work to keep some fire, going in some folks, because most people just are not wired, to find happiness and hope and zest in their day. So, I don't know, I love it though, but I'm happy today. I'm loving this brotherhood today. So, I just think people need to just take into the fact that every day we get to rise up, and that is another gift from God, and we just take it for granted sometimes. So I kind of holiday every day. I really do. And people, Clyde, you see me, I'm so consistent, man, most of the time with personality and the way I go, that I have people thinking it's a fraud.
Oh.
You know, he can't be this happy. Yeah, that guy
When it
can't
becomes
be like.
strange, you know,
Yeah.
it's often. You know, I want to just to kind of piggyback off of what you are saying. I believe that every day where one could laugh and celebrate and chooses not to is to some degree a wasted day.
And it's a sin. I think it's a sin, man. This is a
Because
gift.
the Bible says a merry heart doeth like medicine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so that means that when you have joy actually in your heart, it is ministry. It is medicinal
Yeah.
to your being, to your ontology. And so, it's medicinal. And so what we have to and so I try to do that. I really do. When I go, I'm going to leave here. I've got a Bible study, couple today, every Wednesday. Got some meetings. If to know me is to know, I'm going to have some laughter in there.
Absolutely.
I refuse. I shut meetings down because the person. I'm really. I'm not in the metaphysics in the sense that this statement might sound, but negative energy. I'm at this age, this place in my life where negative energy is like I can almost see it.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
I'm
I
like,
walk
okay, I
around.
don't want to, and I'll shut a meeting down or not do a deal with someone or something because I don't know because I'm happy.
Yeah.
I didn't say I was perfect or rich or without a sin or in my members. What I'm saying, my flesh, but I'm happy, and I'm not going to let you take that
I
from me.
think that is what I'm talking about, Clyde. The way I wake up, I'm just a happy
Yeah, I'm
guy.
not going to let you take that.
In scripture, I'm talking to two preachers and doctors. That's what's funny, but I'm talking scripture. But a cheerful giver, man. They said out of all the things God loves,
God
the most
loveth
is
a
a
cheerful
cheerful
giver.
giver, and that's the reason I tell people all the time. Even when I'm walking around here broke, it's I don't know what. And I have an opportunity to say, how can I help somebody first before I'm asking what I can have? Man, that keeps you. I'm telling you, man, it keeps your heart good.
That's huge, man.
It keeps you happy.
Yeah.
And I tell people all the time, man, enjoy this present. And I have that slogan, that I use. Yesterday's history, tomorrow's a mystery. Today is the present. And if it's the present, open up your gift. Every day, if it's the present, open up your gift to play on words. And I don't think that, I know people that'll sit up and they'll be miserable for 2 weeks waiting on a 2-week event that's getting ready to take place. And I'm like, you mean really? You're waiting on you're waiting on 2 weeks to be happy? I'm like, man, be happy. And then when those 2 weeks come, you just happy again. Can that
I think that's
manifest
the reason a
itself?
lot of times events for people are anticlimactic.
Yeah.
Because they are so stressed out leading to it, they don't. It can't be a culmination.
You got
because
anxiety
all this
leading up to your excitement.
and so now you can't enjoy the event.
Or it's so much anticipating, waiting on something that probably won't manifest itself into what you thought it would be anyway, like we do most times. The trip to, if I can think back on
I agree with
trip
that.
to Disney World was okay, but it wasn't all it was cracked up to be after we got there, after all the talking about what we're going to do, what you're going to see and all that. And then when you get there, you could have went to Kings Island, No, I'm just serious, but most of the time we make things bigger than they are, but I think if we just enjoy what they are, then we have a better time. But we get amped up and hyped up and then it's a failure. One thing go wrong, now it's been a failure. Weather not right, now it's a failure. And that's another thing that I have when I watch the news about the weather. It's never a good day. Have you ever noticed? It just ain't never the right weather. I'm like, man, look, if it get cold, put your jacket on. If it's too hot, leave your jacket in the closet. If it rains, get an umbrella. And enjoy this day. And I just watch people like their day is going to be manifested out of the weather, and that blows my mind. So I'm a stickler on little stuff like that, man. I just think that we waste too much of God's valuable gift, either complaining or not being happy about something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm going to take every day and wake up and smell that air and say, oh, yeah, it's another day for me to go paint some
And it's a struggle.
Yeah.
You have to be reminded because the flesh wants you to be selfish and not and think of negative reasons to be sad. So it's an act of the will is where I'm going. You have to choose to count things all joy.
There you go.
As James says in chapter 1.
And I think even as being a Christian, I think that we have to find what our walk and what our real mission is with the Christ that we say we serve. And I have found that I do realize that, I'm not effective if I'm not bringing light to the room. And if I've been given this extra abundance of zest, so to speak, this, I got a little bit more in my tank to say every day, go grind and go do this diligently. That's my ministry. That's what I have to go do. Much like when folks are ill and let me get pastor here because pastor needs to come pray. Well, every day I told you I walked in the store the other day and this lady turned around and said, "Sir, thank you." And apparently she was just a little lonely old lady. Doesn't get to see a lot of people. And I walked in and just said hello to her and tell her to have a great day. And she turned around and said, "Thank you, sir." I'm like, you just never know.
You never know.
Never know the seeds that you plant and the light that you can bring on somebody. You just never know. So I say do that with ease.
So from your perspective, you want to celebrate every day.
I do.
Yeah.
In my perspective, I do. There's a rare occasion, and I'm human. I don't want you to get to note that I'm not human. I do have some times that I deal with, and most of the time I'm telling you and I'm saying some words probably I need to be saying to a preacher because I need prayer after some of that venting. No, because I'm not. That's why I'm not a preacher. I'm not as disciplined as y'all, man. But on the way I think and the way I roll, man, Christ runs my life. So there are times I have to say, let me get this stuff out and then let me talk to some brothers I know can, pray me back up.
There you go.
Yeah, those words wouldn't be what Mom needs.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, hey, Mom, how you doing? We are here talking to HB about his 60th birthday, but generally speaking, we want to just talk about the issue of celebration and about holiday and about why it's so important from a Christian vantage point to say, you know what, it's a good thing to have a good time. I think sometimes we kind of forget that, in our preaching sometimes, in our teaching, to have joy, to express that to our people. Man, we need to do that a little bit more, it would seem to me.
Sure. There is a kingdom of darkness, that is trying to stop us from having reasons to celebrate. Paul said to the church at Ephesus, we wrestle not against flesh and blood. Let's start with that. So people really aren't the reasons why, or aren't reasons to not be happy or to not celebrate. But we're wrestling against powers, principalities, rulers of the darkness, it goes on to say, spiritual wickedness in high places. These are, and they're using fiery darts of the devil to try to keep you sad. To keep you, you can do great ministry and look up and God will have done a great move in your life, and before you know it, the devil has brought some news or spoken to your mind and told you why you should be sad. It happened to the greatest Old Testament preacher in the Bible, Elijah. Elijah defeated Jezebel and was suicidal shortly after. He asking God to kill him. So his attack, his celebration was short-circuited by his own thinking. And he's a great prophet. I kept to bring this all together. I was thinking about how you have moments where you talk. Preachers have moments.
Yeah,
we have moments.
That's where I'm going with all that.
And I don't think people understand that.
Yeah, we have moments, so we need each other. I talk to Mark. We need each other.
Who's Mark talking to?
And me, and you. So the point, we have these complaints, and every person who would maintain a joyous spirit, which is and celebration is the offspring of that, needs a person where he can offload to that can get him back connected, him or her back connected, and get you celebrate. That's why mothers. Mark is making reference to his mother here, and so he should. I miss my mother.
Man,
my mother, I don't care what and so it's a joy to have you listening to the broadcast, and it's a joy to have you in Mark's life. We reap the benefit of your relationship with Mark.
Hear that, Mom?
I miss my mother. My mother could reach and grab me emotionally and get me back centered to the celebratory person I am by looking at me.
Yeah.
You know, or she could call me. She could sense, hey, this is who you are. I was her pastor as well, the privilege of being her pastor. I could preach a sermon and several people would be up, jumping, happy, shouting maybe in the church. Several people join. And she could call me afterwards. She might call me and say, what's wrong? And I tried to,
Ain't nothing wrong.
hey, ain't nothing wrong, Mom. You see all those people join church today? You see all that? She said, yeah, but what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Because she knows I know how to do my job. And when you're a professional at whatever you do, you're going to teach. It doesn't mean that you don't have something that in the back of your mind is gnawing at you. And you're gonna wow those PhD students because you know how to do your job and you're anointed to do it. But people who know you, one of us, moreover your wife or your mother, can look at you, how well you're doing, and say, I'll talk to you when you get done.
Absolutely.
You know.
Yeah. So we've got about 5 minutes here left in this segment. We want to make sure to give a shout out to HB again. HB, I'd like for you to show everybody this book that you wrote some time ago. I know that you're writing new stuff all the time, but I think it's important to celebrate writers. Dr. Clyde, we're going to talk about your book, of course, in the future. We did last week. We did with the class. But HB, this is your day. So talk to people a little bit about your book, where they can find it, and why it's important to you.
Okay, here's the book, and it's Wordspirations, and that is a title that, I'm a wordsmith, so I thought that word is the most inspiring, the most dominating gift that we have on this planet other than our relationship with Christ. And I tell people all the time, just go into Genesis and the first thing that God said happened. That's how powerful word is. So I've always been gifted to kind of assimilate words into almost a music kind of platform, and I love my music, and I like it, and I'm a thinker all the time. I actually had an argument with my wife one time because, we ride down the road and my mind is just racing, and I said, so baby, what's on your mind? And she said nothing, and I'm almost nothing. I never have thought nothing, so that's a rare thing too. I just don't take a break like that. So I started coming up with all these different ways to share my gift with my thoughts with Christ, share some empowerment and educating verbiage, also make it entertaining so it's palatable to read. Clyde, and we talk about this all the time, and I have to be real about the culturally sensitive nature of African Americans from whence I came. Thank God I've been blessed to be able to meet other cultures and be diverse enough to not ever feel like I'm out of my space, but I also realize that as a culture of people, music moves us, dance moves us, food moves us as a race of people. So I said, what can I do to encourage and educate and motivate? And so I said, let me put it like music and put it like a little bit of rap and, make my poetry where when they're reading it, they're hearing a song. And so, I was just able to put together just a series of poetry about my personal life, a series of poetry about the things that make me laugh, a series of poems about this queen in my life, all of that, the hypocrisies that we share. Wrote a poem about the hurricane or the earthquake in Haiti back in, I guess, 2009, and it was called Drive By. And we hear because now the rest of the world's here. We've been driving by Haiti for years and didn't pay attention. But then when the rest of the world showed up and the cameras were on, now we're there. So I just think that we need to take a look and go in depth sometimes about what we are, who we are as a people. Get over those small things so we can get to this big thing, which is loving one another. I tell people all the time, it amazes me how we get caught up in somebody else's belief. I guess case in point would be the Kanye West thing. And it burns a lot of people a lot of ways. And I'm thinking to myself, when I'm listening to the criticism, I'm thinking, he thinks different than you. But we always want to have the right to share an opinion. But then when they share their opinion and don't think like you, now let's blow them out the water, or let's say something's wrong. I don't share a lot of opinion because of that. right there, because sometimes if you share your opinion, how much good does it do versus the fires you might start? And so opinions are the right to everybody. If I like licorice and you like a Twix bar, I don't think that we should have this war over who likes which candy or which candy is best. That's just your opinion or your preference. And I just think we spend a lot of time wasting time on not loving each other and figuring out how we're going to pick each other apart. Because in most cases, in most standpoints, we're about 95%, 90% alike. And we got a few things that we are different about. I don't think that should be enough. If I got a 90% in school, I'd be an A student. So why don't we try to be A citizens? Why don't we just think about, okay, that ain't my flavor or my choice, so that wouldn't be what I would do, but getting along and loving each other and being citizens to one another, I think we can do that.
And that's why we call you Jumbo Love. the big 6-0 today, man. Happy birthday again.
Man, much appreciated.
Yep.
And thank you for letting me share this stage. You know, I talk much, so.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, you're listening to Warp and Woof Radio, RadioNext.tv at the Cool Groove site. I'm going to sign off here on Facebook Live, and so you can pick us up on the radio station. Just go to RadioNext.tv at the Cool Groove site, and then when you see the Cool Groove site, you will listen to the next segment of this particular show. You can pick up the podcast later on. It'll be labeled Celebration on iTunes through the Warp and Woof iTunes site. But thank you so much, those of you on Facebook Live here, for joining us today. This is HB's 60th birthday. Glad to spend some time with him. Also wanted to reconnect one last time with Craig Derica. He was here talking about the Multiply Conference on November 8th and 9th. You don't want to miss that. If you go to their website and you register, you get a 50% off through the weekend if you use the promo code Comenius, which is the sponsor of this show, Comenius. That's Comenius. Comenius will be your half off to get in the doors November 8th and 9th for the Multiply Conference. Do check that out, those of you in Indianapolis. And you can stream it live for those of you outside of Indianapolis. I know we've got a Denver-based crew out there that listens to us, so use the same promo code, Comenius, get your stream half off for that.